Hello, and welcome to episode 127 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And we're getting a late start on tonight's main episode here, so...
Yeah, we got a little carried away.
Another long pre-show. So this is going to be the start of our Playing in Paper series. And so this is where we're going to kind of go back through some of our old episodes, refresh some things that we had talked about before, and kind of talk about new stuff that you have to consider when you're going out to play Magic in Paper, since hopefully things are getting more back to normal.
I was just going to throw in that it's not like all Playing in Paper stuff, but it's certainly things that are geared towards either people that haven't played Paper Magic before or that are getting into the game in general before. So it's a little bit like newbie related information. There's a little bit of strategic stuff sprinkled in here and there, but this is it's going to be a series that we're going to continue probably throughout most of the summer. We'll keep, we're just going to keep trucking until we get through it, every week, with probably, some random bits thrown in to keep things fresh.
Yeah. So, if there's anything as we're going along you want us to add, feel free to reach out. So you can tweet us things you want at CasualTryPod.
Yep. Or you can shoot us a message on Facebook at CasualTryHardMTG. Or you can email us, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. We were talking a little bit in the pre-show about Modern Horizons 2 singles and how the prices are kind of crazy all over the place. There's some pretty good deals to pick up right now. There's some stuff that hasn't moved at all, and there's some stuff that's going up already. So if you haven't picked up your Modern Horizons stuff and you're looking to do so, please use our TCG Player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Whatever you purchase after following that link, we'll get a small percentage of to help keep the show going. If you guys want to support us a little bit more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. I have most of the patron givebacks packaged up. I just received the last bit of cards that I had to order for them. They should be going out later this week. So stay tuned for that, patrons. If anybody else wants to get in for the next round, you got some time, hop on to our Patreon, throw us a couple bucks, and I'll add your names to the list. Patrons also get early access to our show notes. I post the notes up the day before the show goes live, so you can kind of get a sneak peek about what's coming in the episode. And you also get to hear us ramble lately for almost as long, if not longer, than the show is. That probably won't continue. We try to keep those quick, but lately they've been kind of long. Patrons also get access to that. And at some point, we're going to have some other special stuff for the patrons also, but that's down the road a little ways. But make sure you come check us out on Patreon if you want to help support the show some. We also have our YouTube channel, Casual Try Hard MTG on YouTube. Over the weekend, I uploaded my collector box opening video, so that's live. We do box opening videos whenever a set releases. Whenever a set's on Arena, Brian usually throws up some draft videos. And we do have a project in the works for some more YouTube content. I know we've been saying that for a little while now, but stay tuned. It's coming at some point. And we have our Discord. Hop on over there. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. I usually have it up on my phone while I'm at work or whatever, and I check my messages. But if there's anything you want us to cover for the Playing in Paper series, hop on over to our Discord. Let us know what you want to hear about. Ask any questions, and we'll cover it. There's a link for our Discord in the description, and there's a link on our social media also.
Yeah. So we are going way back in the Wayback Machine here, and we're going to discuss pants and why you should put them on. Again. Now, I want to point out, we've discussed this before, adults don't wear sweatpants in public. So I'm talking honest-to-God pants with pockets that your wallet and your phone won't fall out of, Anthony.
And no drawstring.
No drawstring. We're not Matt Nass. We're not wearing basketball shorts. All right. So this was us talking about why you should bother to basically play in paper, and kind of going through all the different versions and ways to play a Magic, and talking about the pros and cons.
Hmm.
So we're gonna start
And
off on
some of them are a little bit different now than they were back when we talked about them last time. So
yeah. So we're gonna start off on like the best way to play Magic, which is in paper.
yeah, what's that?
Yeah, what is that? I got all these boxes of just stuff I've not looked at really in
Yeah,
months.
yeah,
So the biggest pro of playing in paper is the social aspect of it.
absolutely. And it's something that like none of the digital offerings give you.
Yeah. It's very different like playing with someone in person than like playing with a friend like over Discord. Like that might be good, but it's not the same thing.
Right.
So Anthony and I were talking this weekend and he was like, think about how many hours we just spent, just the two of us, just sitting and playing Magic and practicing. And like it was a ton. Like
Hmm.
I remember when was it the Aether Revolt sealed tournament?
Hmm.
Like I think he and I probably built and played like 30 sealed pools.
Yeah, that was the one where you guys like proxied your sealed pools, right?
Yep. And like built sealed pools that were proxied and played them. And then I got like one of the worst sealed pools in history in the actual event. It was great. Um, yeah, like just being able to like sit and like, play in like a sanctioned tournament or,
Hmm.
just like, you know, inviting someone over and being like, hey, there's a sanctioned tournament that we want to play at in three
Yeah,
weeks or in a month. Let's like play some matchups and like learn our decks. And then it
yeah,
usually just evolves into just like random BS like around the Magic.
yeah.
Right? We spent many a night at Cameron's house
Oh
diligently
yeah.
testing and then like eating Dominoes.
We also spent like many a Saturday afternoon trying to test for an event and ending up watching coverage.
Yes. And just being like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine.
Yep.
Right? But like you
That drink's way
have,
more entertaining.
yeah. But like that is something that you don't get on Arena. You don't get on any of the other ways to play Magic is just like, the friends you make along the way.
That's right.
Right? Like, I've not played against, like Noob Poner 69 and been like, Noob Poner, I'm so glad to see you again. Right? Like, no, that doesn't happen.
Right.
So, right? Like, it's not that also that the Arena client allows that to happen. Right? I
And I
mean,
mean, they specifically don't allow that to happen.
and I mean, even like when I like when there are like, three people on Arena at the same time I am from my friends list, it's rare that I like open it up and I'm like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
It just doesn't, it's not the same thing. So that's like, I think the biggest thing is just like the interaction.
Yeah, and like I mean, I'm assuming I can speak for you also, but I've made a lot of really good friends playing Magic, like people that I wouldn't have met otherwise, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're never going to get that on Arena either. Like, you're not going to message, Noob Poner 69 and say, hey, will you be my friend?
Yeah. I mean, on Sunday, one time guest and host of the Casual Try Hard Legends of Runeterra podcast, Anthony, called me and wished me Happy Father's Day because we met because I helped him try to fix a BFZ draft deck he had.
Yeah.
Right? Like 7 years ago now is when BFZ came out or something, or six?
A long time ago.
A
Yeah,
long
something like
time ago.
that. 6 years.
Something like that, right? And so, like, if it wasn't for that, like, we would have never met, right?
Right.
So that is just something that, like, for all the cool digital ways to play, that's something that hasn't been replicated or replaced.
Yeah.
And the mythical kitchen table casual,
Yeah.
right? they're playing because it's a fun thing to do with their friends,
Hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
Like they're there for the social aspect of it almost exclusively.
Yep.
All right. And then there we have, and this kind of runs into the next thing, like the mental game, like
Yeah.
being able to like read your opponent or like bluff, right, through like body language or like how you're holding your cards or how you're tapping your mana.
Yeah. Pick up
You
on
know,
signals.
yeah. you know, the like draw a card and like heavy side, but it was actually good kind of deal,
Mhm.
right? Like again, you lose that on Arena.
Yeah, like the closest you get on Arena is somebody like the glow of somebody hovering over one of your cards. It's like, oh, he doesn't know what that does. He's reading it.
Or it's being targeted right now, they're paying costs.
Yeah.
Right. So you
Or
have
like if they're looking through your graveyard or something.
yeah, you're like, oh, they have a cling to dust.
Yeah.
Like or it's like, oh, did I realize that if this what's his name? Storm Herald resolves, they just die? Oh, okay, they've come to that realization. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, just the ability to like bluff and read
Mhm.
and just the little things that almost like you associate with poker.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of overlap between Magic and poker too. Like a lot of the Magic pros are either ex-poker players or have at least dabbled in poker.
Yeah, or have like World Series bracelets.
Right, yeah.
Uh so yeah, but there's a lot of those same things that like you associated with poker like translate to Magic, and
Mhm.
again, like Noob Poner has the same interface as everyone else I play against.
Right.
So Noob Poner 69 is the same as like High as a Kite 420. Right? It's the same like thing. They're doing the
And you
same
play
thing.
against some really interesting opponents. I never get cool people like that.
Yeah, yeah, you know, you got to be on at the right times, man. You
I
gotta,
guess.
yeah, you gotta be sitting like at like 8 o'clock in your child's playpen with him, because if you leave, he screams, and you're like, okay, I got a couple games in here real quick. Uh, it's it's the space you're in plus the time. So
That's
like,
right.
there's that, and then that kind of the mental game of things kind of leads into the fact that paper magic is more skill testing.
Yeah, you don't have the client like to use as your crutch. It's not going to like walk you through a turn. It's not going to stack the triggers for you. Like when you play paper magic, you have to do all that heavy lifting yourself, which in my opinion as a pro, that's one of the reasons that I started playing magic was to like kind of work my brain some, like exercise parts of it that I wasn't, super using otherwise. And again, I really enjoyed that part of it.
It's something that, as someone who's played Magic for a long time, that's just
Mhm.
always been part of the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, it used to be such a part of the game, like that if you missed a trigger, you could just lose the game.
Hmm.
Like,
Absolutely.
like things have gotten a lot like more forgiving in recent years, but 15 years ago, like the missed trigger policy was like a game loss,
Yeah.
depending on the trigger.
Sure was.
It was like, oh, you missed your trigger. Oops.
Do better next time.
Yeah. But better luck next time, Slugger.
Yeah.
Shuffle them up, try again.
Yep.
So, like, that's always been like a really important part of the game. And
Mhm.
like, I think it's one thing to be good when you don't have to like be burning additional brain cells for like, oh, I've got to remember this trigger and this
Yeah.
interaction and stuff like that, than to like actually have to be like offloading like some of your processing power to remembering all this other stuff that needs to happen.
Right.
So, right, it's just I think a truer test of Magic, because
Mhm.
like, is again, as much as Wizards wants the game to be digital, the game is still like at its heart like a paper game.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, we have tr- Travel,
Uh,
Travel.
travel. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. We
Um,
figured it out.
maybe sometime soon.
Yeah,
It's still a pro. It's a pro of paper magic is traveling.
it is. It is. Like, I mean, there's always been just the places that we've gone like to eat in random places that we would not have otherwise gone. Now, granted, like, sometimes we're not going to the most glamorous places, Richmond. But you know, but you're
The
still
place is
going.
great.
What?
The place is great.
ah. I mean, we found some good restaurants to eat at, but like,
You meant the city, not the restaurant.
I meant the city of
Oh
Richmond.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
gotcha.
no one, like, I'm not gonna be bouncing Gavin's son or daughter on my knee, being like, "Oh, I went to Richmond, Virginia," and like, I'm not gonna be telling tales of like Richmond. I'll be telling tales of like, if I remember it, the stuff we did,
Yeah.
right? Like, if I don't lose my mind between now and then, right? But I'll like the things we did,
Mhm.
right? Like that's the stuff you remember is like getting to
Yeah,
go someplace with your friends and like
absolutely.
it was, again, much like, magic is the thing that the social stuff was organized around, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes the social thing ends up being more important than the magic.
Yeah,
Like magic might be the reason that you traveled, but the reason that you enjoy it is, again, it's
people
centered
that you
around,
went with and the things that you do.
yeah, it's centered around
Yeah,
magic. Like that's the excuse. I don't think it's any different than if like you really like NASCAR and you're someone who
yeah,
got like an RV and just decided that for like the summer you're going to go to every race,
yep.
right? Like, yeah, cool. Like every Sunday there was a race that you like watched, but
Hmm.
really like what you really took away from it was the stuff that you did along the way.
Yeah, getting to travel the
Yeah.
country and see different places, talk to
And
different people.
right, and I mean, still organized around Magic, right? There was always like, hey, am I going to get like a feature match? Is this like going to be the bigger tournament that I like run hot like the sun and like get
Hmm.
like a feature match or get, you know, uh, a deck tech or something, like just like the idea that like, oh hey, maybe
Yep.
like, my travel will turn into like I'll get to do something that, not a ton of people get to do. Like I could be like a, D minus nerd celebrity for a day. Like that'd be cool,
Yeah.
right? Right.
Yep.
So and then the last thing is what we were talking about with our little TCG plug, Magic Finance.
Yeah. Typically, I really enjoy following the market and, making specs and hoping they pay off and, watching the market so I can, build my decks as cheaply as possible. I'm not sure right now with Modern Horizons I quite understand it, but I do like the aspects of Magic Finance for the most part.
So
And
you mean there's a part of the market that is not behaving rationally? That's never happened in any market before, ever.
yeah, I know, right?
Like Magic's just catching up with other stuff. It's like this company makes no money, but I think it will one day. Let's take the price up, maybe to the moon.
There you go.
Yeah. So just like getting like to do like, hey, I think this card will be valuable in the future, or like I want to get this card now because I could see it being played in like 3 years,
Hmm.
and then it'll be harder to come by and whatever. And
Yep.
like making the judgment on like, oh, this is a unique effect that you don't see,
Hmm.
so maybe this is something I should like have.
Yep.
Right.
And like I said, I enjoy that portion of it, especially like over 2020. That's really one of the main ways that I interacted with Magic was, you know, tracking my collection, sorting my cards, making purchases for the future, that sort of thing.
See, I was really good at making purchases for the future,
Yeah.
less good at sorting my cards.
Well, he also had a screaming tiny human.
This is true. This is true. I need to teach him his colors
Yeah.
so we can get, and then make sure his hands are clean. No,
Start sorting.
yeah, not in your mouth. Uh, but yeah,
Just make
so
sure they're sleeved. He'll be all right.
first sleeve all of my unsorted cards, then have him sort them in by color. Cool. Why did it take you 8 years to sort your cards? Well, you see. Um, but yeah, so like things to do, right? Now, what are the cons to pro magic? There's a lot of cons to pro magic right now. What are the cons to paper magic? And I like this first one. Uh, People can be disgusting, and this is
Yeah.
2 years ago, before there was a virus that was very much not good for people.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you remember like going to GPs and like, knowing that you were probably going to catch the GP crud like when you got back, but like it wasn't a big deal?
yeah, you knew you were gonna come back with a cold or something, or like for 2 or 3 days you weren't gonna feel well, because
Yeah.
it was a combination of road food, lack of
Lack of sleep.
sleep,
Yeah.
being in a hotel, and then being around like 1,000 to 2,000 people, many of which who had questionable hygiene habits.
Yes.
Right? Like we've all had the opponent where you've sat down and been like, "Oh, you've never taken a bath, like not once, not
What is
ever."
that smell? What's
Yeah,
that dripping off of you?
I have like sat by people in players meetings,
Yeah.
and it's been awful. And then like I've like seen them like walk towards me for my first round, and I'm like, "Oh God, please no, please no," and they like mercifully sit like 2 tables down, and you're like, "Oh, I can only smell it a little bit. It's fine." And you're just like, "Ah." Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, people can be gross. So there's no DCI anymore. There was a time where you could get banned from the DCI by taking pictures of people's butt cracks hanging out of their pants.
Yeah, remember that guy?
Yeah, there's a guy who would just like give the thumbs up and get a picture behind some nerd like at a Magic tournament with like their butt crack hanging out.
It was a Twitter account, right?
Yeah, I think it might have been a Twitter account, and then the guy got banned.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a whole series he did of
Yeah,
butt cracks.
yeah. So, you know, people are gross.
Yes, people are gross.
Yes.
Aside from people being gross, though, like some people just aren't nice either, which
Yeah,
kind of stinks.
I
Like,
mean
they're just not pleasant people.
we've talked about my grunting reanimator opponent who just like threw cards at me.
Yeah.
Right. So that is a downside. I mean, usually like there are fewer of those people than the reasonable to nice people. Right. Like,
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I
um
mean, like most of the people I've sat down across from were like at least courteous, if nothing else. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Even if they didn't have much personality, at least they weren't like an asshole about it. They were
Yeah.
pleasant enough that you didn't want to run away.
Yes. I guess we also have in the con section, it is also like more skill testing than arena. Like you have to like there's a
Yeah.
lot more mental work to do, which is like a good thing and a bad thing if you're transitioning from one of the digital clients.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is I look at it as a pro, and I think a lot. I mean, a lot of people do. A lot of people play paper magic. A lot of people think that that's a good thing. But I can see where it would be daunting from the perspective of somebody that's only ever played Arena or Magic Online, where like it's hard to process like how much work that the client does for you. So it can
Yeah.
certainly be a con as well. And
Yeah.
it's also like it kind of compounds on itself because you get like it's easy to get tilted if you miss a trigger or if you make a play mistake or whatever, and then like that kind of compounds and like makes it easier to miss the next one also. Like your whole match can start sliding downhill, which obviously isn't great. You don't learn
Yes.
as much that way.
I think most people have been there, but
Yeah.
it's not good.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
It sure is. Yeah.
Very, very expensive.
Very, very expensive. And I mean, in some aspects, the game has gotten cheaper. I remember, I mean, it probably wasn't more than like 3 years ago. Like the average price for a modern deck was probably $1,500, 2 grand.
Yeah, probably.
And I was just going through some quick prices before the show. Actually, I think we talked about it in the pre-show a little bit. And really, the most expensive deck I could find was like under 2 grand. So, in that aspect, some of the stuff has gotten cheaper. But like, if you wanted to play Legacy, good luck. Like, you need to sell a kidney first.
Yeah. And then like getting to an event, like I would say that like when we went to like, vacation capital of the world, Richmond, Virginia,
Yeah.
right? Between hotel and gas and food and then like tournament entry and stuff, you're spending like $300 or $400 minimum.
Yeah, and you're probably gonna check the vendors out and buy some singles or stuff too. So yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely adds up.
And a thing for more like at the LGS level,
Mhm.
Is it like there's a risk that like the event that you're trying to go to just doesn't happen because there aren't enough players?
Yeah, I think that's probably gonna, unfortunately, it's probably gonna be common for a little while like communities are rebuilding and people are like coming out of their homes.
Yeah,
I would definitely expect this to be an issue.
and like I think we've talked about before, right? Like over the last like year and a half, people have found other things to do,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be like Magic's gonna have to pull those people back
Hmm.
from the things that they were doing in lieu
Yeah.
of Magic. So
Yeah, and it's also tough because there's like so many different ways to play Magic that like maybe you're a standard player and you really want to play Magic, but like standard doesn't fire at your store anymore because standard players are all online now. So do you build a Pioneer deck, or do you build a Pauper deck, or do you build a Modern deck to try and, jump in? I mean, that takes time. And then like those modern players, maybe they're sick of waiting for, a eighth person to show up for their tournament. So they all go and build, legacy decks or something. I think it's going to be hard to get everybody on the same page and get your game stores, set up and running again.
yeah, because like I think you're gonna have if your game store had 30, let's say, people that consistently showed up to play events
Hmm.
throughout the week, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're down to 15,
Yeah.
right? And like getting 8 of those 15 people all there at the same time with the same format deck
Yeah.
is going to take a while to have happen. Like there's going to be a lot of like 6 people show up or
Hmm. Or
5.
less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or you get 5 or 3 and you're like, "Oh, well that sucks." And it's one of those
Yeah.
problems that like feeds back on itself, right?
Right.
Where, you know, if you make the 30-minute drive to your LGS once and the event doesn't fire, you're like, okay, that was like bad luck. And then you do it
Yeah.
again and it doesn't fire, and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this again. It happens a third time, you're probably not coming back,
Right.
right?
Which stinks.
Yeah, but like then eventually when they get to 7 people, right? If you would have come, you would have made 8.
Yeah.
But like they
Yeah, but
kind
I mean,
of
how many weeks can you reasonably expect to show up and
nothing happened. Exactly. Right.
right?
It's just one
Yeah.
of those things that it like will slowly kind of eat you up.
Yep.
Right. So our next way to play Magic is the way that we've probably most played Magic in the last year, and that's Arena.
Yeah, I played some Arena this weekend. Did you play any 100 card historic brawl?
I did.
Yeah, would you play?
I mean, Ugin's my boy in Brawl till they take him away from me.
You played 100 card Ugin?
Uh huh.
Wow. All right. I played Dina.
Dina? Oh yeah, the whatever you gain a life, they lose a life.
Yeah. It was great. I played it all weekend long. Maybe I'll post the deck in Discord. It was pretty sweet, and I think it's pretty easy on wild cards. It's a lot of like uncommons. The deck was cool though. I dug it, and I had a decent win rate with it.
Well, like I guess you have to cut it down to 60 for like the historic Brawl event or whatever's going on right now.
No, it's still 100 card.
Oh, it's still a 100 card?
Yeah, they're testing it out to make it a permanent format. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's still 100 card.
Yeah, like no, we Ugin people. It was fine. I
Just fine.
yeah, I don't know. I don't remember being like, "Oh yeah, this was amazing." Like you resolve an Ugin and you down ticket and you usually win the game. And
Yeah,
you try to resolve your Ugin on like turn 5.
yeah, I
And
can see that.
if they kill your Ugin, you usually can cast it again on like turn 7.
Yeah.
And then that one is usually like that one really like locks it up. It's like, oh wait, he had enough mana to do it again. Like I did. All right. So pros of Arena. No pants required.
No pants required. You can and just about always log on and get a game in, regardless of where you are, what you're doing, because you can play on mobile now. So
Yeah.
any place there's an iPad or Wi-Fi or your phone or whatever you're gonna do, you can always play Arena.
Yeah,
for better or for worse.
I think that I almost exclusively play now on my iPad.
Yeah.
Like I haven't logged into Arena on my computer in a long time.
Yeah. I still almost exclusively play on my computer.
Yeah, like it's just easy to get games in on mobile. So that's probably
Yeah.
the biggest thing. Now the next
Hmm.
one I think is both a pro and a con, which is the like
Well,
yeah.
well,
Okay.
I differentiated
Fair.
it.
So,
It's easy to maintain a collection.
yeah. So,
It's not easy to build one.
yeah. So it's once you have the cards, they're always sorted for you.
Yeah.
They're searchable.
Yeah, it's still easy to keep up with releases though. I guess
Yeah.
is kind of what I meant. You are 100% right. You don't have to sort it. It's easily searchable. Deck building is for the most part no complaints. I mean, there are certainly a couple complaints like let me default my basics please.
Or the
Um
fact that the sideboard right now is trash.
yeah. Yeah. 7 cards and then rest of sideboard.
Apparently, I think when Strixhaven came out, I just heard this that it was that 7 card thing was screwing up and people were trying to run tournaments and people
Yeah.
were only getting 7 card sideboards because like it was messed up in best of 3 when Strixhaven when they released the feature.
Yeah. So
Yes,
that's all they got.
so they only got 7 cards in their sideboard. Oops.
Yeah.
It is easy to maintain your collection, right? It's you're
Mhm.
not like me where you have like a giant shelf with a bunch of boxes that you have to like move, right? Like that's
Right.
not a concern you have.
Yeah. And like I still think that it's cheaper to buy into a standard release on Arena than in paper.
Yeah, I mean, we know that basically I spend like $50 a release and I end up with like a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I usually do the same thing. I'll buy my pass and like, I'll spend $40 on gems or whatever. And then by the time the season's over with, I have most of the whole set or at least everything that mattered.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's
And
a
that's way
few.
cheaper than like if you were going to play in paper.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It can be free to play, but I don't know how many people actually like are in that model and like happy with it. Like I don't know anyone who's like 100% free to play personally.
Some of our listeners are.
Yeah. I
Like
think it's
I've talked to like people that have messaged me for like arena codes and stuff have told me they've been free to play.
okay. I think it's one of those things that it's hard
Yeah.
just because like you part of it's like up to like RNG, right? You're just like,
Right.
"Oh, I really hope I open an elite spellbinder for my deck. Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't. Well, I
Yeah.
guess I don't have one."
Right.
Right? So that it becomes difficult. But like if you
Like it's meant to be frustrating, I think though. Like I think it's specifically designed to be frustrating to be free to play to
oh no,
like make you sink money into it.
absolutely. I think that's how like the free to play model in like all games works, right? Is it's like
Yeah.
it's hard to do, so you like pay for the shortcut,
Yeah.
right? Like you can grind for 4 hours, or you can spend $2.99 and
Yeah.
get the level bundle. And you're like, it's only $3,
Yeah.
and then that's how they get
But you get 2 skips so you can build your house quicker.
yeah, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the engine does do a lot of heavy lifting in terms of like rules, right? Like we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that in the paper section.
So it makes it easier. I think it makes Arena makes it easier to learn the game,
Absolutely.
because like the game is like holding your hand as you go.
Hmm.
Uh,
There's been a couple times like I've showed up to the store for like a draft or like a pre-release or something, and somebody has like asked me a rules interaction that normally I wouldn't have known except for I'd already run into it on Arena, so I knew how it worked.
yeah. So it does make it easy to learn, but like we said, it does kind of become a crutch as well,
Hmm.
right? And there is like the thing that I have liked more and less depending are the weird, like, wacky formats that they kind of threw up there to, like, make things a little fresher.
Yeah, when was the last time they did an Omniscience draft?
I don't know.
It's been a while, and those are a blast.
They are. Like, they've kind of more defaulted to the, like, here's, like, a C minus precon deck,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have this other precon deck that we hope is a C minus, but if it's a C plus, like, it's just a miserable, like, weekend.
Well, like the Omniscience events that they've had haven't been drafts, though. They've been like, oh, you're both drawing from the same deck almost. Like it's a
Oh,
preset
yeah.
deck that you're just ripping cards off of, and that's not as fun, I don't think.
No, like, right, because, like, the Omniscience draft really changed the value of cards.
Yeah, it changed
So,
your pick order.
yeah, you had to, like, reevaluate what was good. Like, divination is great in Omniscience draft,
100%.
right? And, like, but you don't know that until you've done some Omniscience drafts.
Yeah.
And, like, oh, like, I've learned something about this particular format. Now I know what I'm going to value differently.
Yeah.
Like, they've got the Popper events. Like I said, they have the weird precon things. They have Momir, which, is another, like, a super
I don't
RNG
really care
format.
for Momir, but
I mean, some people love it. Like, that it came from Magic Online because people loved it.
oh yeah, I mean I know there's a devout following for it, but it's not really my cup of tea.
Yeah, I don't know how you have a devoted following for, like, basically playing craps.
Yeah.
Like, but with, like, a lot more dice.
Yeah, oh yeah, way more
Come
dice.
on. Daddy doesn't want a 2-drop that just dies when it comes into play. No, you shake up like 85 dice, 85 d20s, and it spits out like the card number for like all the 2-drops, and you're like, okay, cool. I got the wrong one. Crap. Okay,
Yeah.
I got something. Ooh, toughness equal to the number of green permanents I control. Well, if that's 0, bye, buddy.
Yep, it just dies.
It just dies. Oh,
Just dead.
oh.
If this card was put into play and not cast,
Yeah.
no.
Oh. Why is Phage the Untouchable here, and why did I get it? Crap. Yeah, so, like, those are fun and something that you can't easily do. Like, I was talking about trying to get, like, back, trying to get our store in order to, like, let's do an Omniscience draft. Like, I can explain the rules.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be fun.
Yeah,
It'd be a lot harder to do like a Momir event, though.
Yeah, and you can't really do a Momir event. Like, you just got a long box of, like, 2-drops.
This is the 2-drop box. This is the 3-drop box.
And, like, you just do it and you just reach in and pull out a 2-drop.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is what I got.
Yep. Garbage bags.
Just garbage. Shake
That
them
way
up.
you can shake them up.
Yeah. And then, like, it's visually appealing. Like, it's...
Yeah.
They've done a decent job. Though, again, like, can we, like, shorten Questing Beast animation by, like, 5 seconds?
I don't know. I kind of like the animations. And, like, the backgrounds are always really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I dig it. It's certainly leaps and bounds better than Magic Online.
This is true. So, what are our cons?
Well, you don't get to talk to people.
You do not.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get to smell them either, so...
Yeah.
The grind gets old. I've basically just, like, removed myself from the grind.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm almost there. I keep telling myself that I want to play more challenges and spend less time on the ladder, but it just seems like whenever I'm trying to, like, knock my daily quests out, I just hop on the ladder. And I really shouldn't do that.
But, I mean, it's one thing to be like, oh, I want to get 4 wins and cast 30 white spells.
Yeah.
I'll let it hop on the ladder to do this.
Yeah.
Then it is to be like, I'm going to play 700 games to get to Mythic.
Yeah.
And, it's a thing where, what is the reason to grind a Mythic? Right? Like,
yeah, there isn't much of one.
Right? Like, so it's like, you get entrance into one of the biggest GPs you've ever been to, and, like, the top 16 or the top 32 of that event get an invite to like
Yeah.
something.
Something that
Yeah.
they may or may not cut the prize support from.
Yeah, that may or may not have prize support. Exactly.
Yeah.
So so I won. I won. What do I get? You get a firm handshake.
Oh boy.
No, I'm still hungry. No, I
Yeah.
can I eat the hand? No, dang it.
In the
So
like I've noticed that the rewards when they reset the ladder, like they're not nowhere near worth the time that you put in.
yeah, it's like 3 packs. Like
Yeah.
getting to platinum is like pretty trivial
Yeah.
because like they changed it so gold gets 2 steps every win now and only 1 step down.
Mhm.
So like, getting to platinum is pretty trivial, but like getting up to gold, you get like an extra pack and like 200 more gold. It's like who cares,
Yeah. It realistically doesn't matter.
right? When like the the reason to grind used to be, hey, I could like qualify for the pro tour from my house,
Hmm.
and now the pro tour is dead, right? So like, what am I qualifying from my house for?
Nothing.
Nothing. So like I'll get on like I don't think I played Saturday or Sunday. I like hopped on today, banged out all of my like challenges, got like 10 wins and was like, "All right, cool. I will see you again later." Uh, Magic
Yeah.
decks. Yeah, so yeah, the grind does get old, especially now that they've like really taken the rewards off of the grind.
Well, at least the rewards that meant to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then building a collection is like basically complaining about how you build your arena collection is a cottage YouTube industry now,
Yeah.
right? It is like if you're not willing to play a reasonable amount of draft, I would say probably like minimum like 30 drafts.
Probably.
Like it's not impossible to build your collection, but it's really hard to build your collection.
I mean,
Like
you're gonna have to sink some like serious money into it.
yeah, like $50 a set release is like doable. It's still like $200 on
Yeah.
like essentially a video game. Though I did buy the new Ratchet and Clank today for $70, so I can't really
Can't
can't
complain
really
too much.
yeah can't moralize about spending money on video games.
Yeah.
But it is really hard. Like my brother was watching me play and was like, "Oh, what is this?" And this is Magic. I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, that's really interesting. What's it called?" Arena. I said, "Dude, don't." Like, it's just so expensive. And like,
Yeah.
yes, like if he hopped in at a set release and like played his cards right, and, like he could. No pun
Teach
intended.
them how to draft.
Yeah, but like it just ends up being like so much money,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, that's a really neat historic deck. Like, well,
Yeah.
like
And
we
see that like that's a whole nother point though, is like if you're getting into arena because you think that historic is a cool format and that's what you want to play, good luck.
yeah, like
Good
it's
luck.
it's just too hard to
Yeah,
get
like
the
I don't
cards.
know if you could buy enough gems to like build a historic deck.
You just buy a bunch of gems and you start at like Kaladesh Remastered and you just like buy packs. Well,
Yeah.
I'll buy 400 Kaladesh Remastered packs and then 300 Ixalan packs, and eventually, if I do this for every set, we'll get there.
Yeah, like that's what I mean though. Like I don't know if you could buy enough gems to do that.
Before the credit card tied to your account bursts into flames.
Well, I mean, not just a credit card, but like by the time you got through it all, you'd like there'd be another set out.
You just couldn't catch up.
I don't think you can catch up.
Yeah. So, like, you know, they're doing like two things. Like, it's not a format that you like can just play your old fun standard deck,
Not
and
at
they
all.
like keep putting these like weird like supplemental products on like Jumpstart and then like the Mystical Archives, and
Yeah.
like make the format ends up being about like key cards from those sets,
Hmm.
and then you're like how do I get all of these cards. It's
Yeah.
like wild cards. So you got to open packs for a set that you don't want the cards for,
Right.
so that you can get the wild cards, because you can't even buy Jumpstart most of the time.
Right.
It's like, what if I want to Muxus? Can I just open Jumpstart packs? No.
No.
Cool. So I have to open like Zendikar Rising packs? Yes. And eventually you will open enough of them that you will get a single Muxus.
Yeah.
Oh, that does not seem good. So yeah, that is
No.
the big issue there is, if you weren't on the train at the beginning,
Right.
like, it seems like the only points you can hop on the train are like probably like in the fall for standard.
Yeah, when a rotation happens.
Like when a rotation happens, you're like, okay, standard's the smallest it can be. I'm going to
Yep.
start with this set, backfill with stuff as I need it. And like, what is this other form of playing Magic? I am not participating in that.
Right. At least not until you've gotten everything you needed for standard and have
Yeah.
some extra wild cards.
Yeah, so like you just can't participate.
Yeah. And like you really don't have that problem in paper
No.
because like in arena there's no way to turn your old cards into anything. But in paper you can. You can turn them into dollar dues and then spend those dollar dues for different cards.
Or just like, instead of like buying a box in hopes of like opening 4 of the rare that you want, you
Yeah,
just walk
you
up to
just
someone
buy
and
the
go
rare.
like, I want 4 of this rare, and it is always going to be cheaper than cracking packs to
Yeah.
get that rare. Like, if you
Right.
want a specific card, like, opening packs is a bad way to do it.
Yeah, like that's not a super like true 1-for-1 though, because like on Arena everything is the same value. It's always a wild card.
It is.
And in paper, like I mean, if you want an Underground Sea, that's going to be $1,000.
Yeah. But like, if you had access to like revised packs to open for that Underground Sea, it'd be way cheaper to buy your Underground Sea than to open packs to get your Underground Sea.
Right.
So what
But
I,
like
what I,
all the packs on Arena are the same price though.
they are. But what I mean is, like, you can't just go on Arena and be like, I want to buy 4 rare wild cards so that
Right.
then I can turn them into 4 stomping grounds for my deck.
Yeah.
Right? The only way you can get it is you just have to open packs.
Yeah.
Right? You either have to open, what is it, like 6 packs to get that one rare wild card. Is it 6? Right.
6, yep.
6. So minimum you have to open 24 packs for your Sacred
Your
Foundry.
mythic.
For your playset of Sacred Foundries, or 24 packs for your one mythic.
Right.
Right? Where in paper Magic you can just go like, I want 4 Sacred Foundries. Right? Here's my money.
Yeah.
And it's going to be cheaper than you buying like Guilds of Ravnica packs.
Yeah, I mean realistically you could probably buy 4 of those Shockland Secret Lairs for what it would cost you to open enough wild cards to, you know what I mean, to get a play set.
Yeah. So, it's a different economy, but it's a bad economy than the real one. There are no older formats. Historic is I think Historic's a mess personally, but Historic is not like a format that you can play in paper.
No.
And
it's definitely not Pioneer. And I think at this point, even though like I've enjoyed playing some Historic, I think at this point I'd prefer Pioneer on Arena.
I do as well. Just like playing, so I predominantly play best of one, right? We can talk about my shortcomings as a person, but I think that, right, that format is a bunch of people racing to ignore one another.
Yeah.
And like, there are just like, on more than one occasion, you just lose the game on turn 4 to any number of things.
Yeah. I
And
mean, that's kind of what like Best of One's all about, though.
yeah, it is. I mean, I'm trying to I've been like storm heralding people, but you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, they discarded the emergent ultimatum. Oh, they had
Hmm.
Nivix mastery.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I lose now.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
And it's just like, but there's like four different ways to lose to that deck,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like, oh, there's so many of this exact deck. This is awful. Um, but yeah, there's no Pioneer, there's no Modern, there's no Legacy, there's no Commander, which I think Commander's the hardest one that they get to put on,
Yeah, I
right?
don't know
Because
how they would do multiplayer.
yeah, because
You'd
you
have
could
to have a way to like cycle through battlefields.
or something, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no functionality to like split the battlefield into fours,
Yeah.
and there's no vintage, so like you don't. One of the big drawbacks to Arena is if Standard's bad
Yeah.
and Historic's bad, Arena's bad,
Yeah, there's just nothing else to do.
right? Like
I
Magic
hope your
Online,
garbage like random formats are good because
yeah,
otherwise I'm not playing Arena for a while.
yeah, but like a Magic Online, like right now, Modern is really popular because of Modern Horizons, and Arena's not getting that bump because it doesn't have
Right.
that format. And people like, should Modern Horizons been on like Arena? And it's just like, no, because then that would be all that Historic was. Like
Yeah.
Modern Horizons draft decks would be like top tier.
I mean, if it was on Arena, I would have a really hard time recording this podcast right now because I'd want to be drafting on Arena.
Yeah, but like you just couldn't do it and then be like, oh yeah, you get to play those cards in Historic. It's like, oh, that's the only thing
Yeah.
you can do now is
Yeah.
Mystical Archives and Modern Horizons. I heard this the other day. So we've talked about it before, right? Like, oh, hey, it's going to be super easy to put cards on Arena. We just put them in. Arena knows what the rules do. And then when it becomes something like, yo, so when we get in those Pioneer cards, whew, do you know how hard it is to put cards on Arena? Oh, we
Yeah,
just
it's so
don't have
much
enough
work.
people. And it's like, dude, 3 years ago you were like, oh, a child could do it. Like the computer just teaches itself. And now it's just like, oh man, we don't have enough. There's not enough people on Earth to do this. It's just impossible. And it's like, no, you have to pick one. It's either stupid easy or impossible. You
Yeah, you
can't
can't
have it both ways. Right? So like, remember like last year, hey, Pioneer Masters is coming.
Yeah.
No, Pioneer Masters is going to be in December. Here's Kaladesh Remastered. Hey, Pioneer Masters. And then it was like, if we don't ever say Pioneer Masters again, they'll forget, right? They'll just forget.
It's been cricket since then.
Yeah,
They've come out with how many like state of the games and there's been no mention.
yeah, they're just like, they're gonna forget.
Yeah.
And it's like, we made up a fictional Harvard MBA. I called him Chad. Chad was like no. We're gonna release each set that is Pioneer legal as a remaster. Cause think of how much money we'll get from releasing 25 sets to
Yeah.
draft as opposed to one.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, so we're not going to do that? And Chad's like, no, man, we'll make so much more money. And they're like, all right, Chad, cool.
Yeah, I don't like Chad very much.
No, Chad's the worst kind of person. The program on Arena, it's not perfect.
No, it definitely has some shortcomings. Like not knowing or having to know or forgetting to like go into full control mode when you have to. I'm thinking specifically like the Phyrexian Tower. If you want to sacrifice something at like on your opponent's turn before it's you turn, like it won't prompt you to do it
Basically,
if you can't like cast a spell with the mana.
yeah, basically it looks at it and goes like, you have one colorless mana, you have a Heartless Act in your hand, you can't cast it. And you're like, no, I can. I just have to sack this creature first. But it doesn't take the like leap of like, oh, you can make this game action
Yeah.
and then be able to
And then
cast
you'll
the
have the mana.
spell. I better give you a second to see if you want to make that game action. It's just
Yeah.
like, nope, moving on. It is funny
Yeah.
because there are some times where like it feels like the game had to like take a leap to be like, oh, if you take this game action, you
Hmm.
can like cast a spell or do this thing. And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, it's cool, I'll wait for you.
Yeah.
And then other times it's like, nope, just moving right along.
Yep.
I mean, they have fixed it for some things. Like I remember when like copying a spell required you to like go into full control mode.
Hmm.
Now they just like, oh, you have like an expansion in your hand.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give you a second so you want to copy this spell.
Yeah.
So they've
Or
gotten better.
like floating your mana with is it Wilderness Wreck? You had to go into full control to do.
Yeah, because it would just like kind of pass through.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Auto Tapper is still trash. Auto
I mean,
Tapper
it's better
still
than it was.
It was god
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's times like I think today I had two signature suppliers in my hand. I had like Blood Crypt, Stomping Ground.
Yeah.
And I was like, cast a Faithless Looting, and it was like, you should use the Blood Crypt. And I was like, come on. So then I just like wasted a mana because like it decided I didn't need to
Didn't need that black.
didn't need that black mana. I was like, dang it, like
Yeah.
I should have like thought ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's still an issue. I kind of reported a bug.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, you can put what's it called? Quandrix command on the stack without
Mhm.
legal targets on Arena.
Oh yeah.
So like its bailout mode is target a player and they shuffle 3 cards in from their library into their from their graveyard into the library.
Hmm.
But then all the other modes are targeted, like counter target spell, instant or sorcery. No, sorry, enchantment spell, bounce a creature, a planeswalker, and like put 2 counters on a creature. So like you can put it on the stack, but then it won't ever resolve. So it goes on the stack, it won't pay the mana, but then it just doesn't go back to your hand, it doesn't go away.
That's
like
weird.
through your next turn, it's just on the stack. And so I like tweeted at them like, hey, can you go to this link? And then it's like not abundantly clear how you like report the bug. It's basically just like a forum page. And like
yeah. That's how it was during beta. You had to report everything through a forum.
And then I like searched Quandrix command and like 4 other people like put up like the same thing.
Yeah.
So like, okay, they know about it. But yeah, it still has some issues for something that shouldn't have as many issues as it has.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is
The granddaddy.
Magic the Gathering Online. MTGO if you're super old.
Or Modo if you're even older.
Yeah, what was like Modo was like Magic Online Digital Objects.
Yeah, something like that. Or Digital Offering or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, the pros for Modo, first and foremost, is you can get a game. In whatever format you want to play, you will get a game.
You will get a game. Even like the weird formats. If you want to play Pauper, you can play Pauper. If you want to play Momir, you can play Momir. If you want to play Commander, you can play Commander. If you want to play 1v1 Commander, you can play 1v1 Commander.
Do you want to play Penny Dreadful? You can do that.
Penny Dreadful. Yeah. Format that like basically doesn't exist outside of Magic Online.
Yeah, just because it's like only like your deck has to be a penny.
Well, the legality also changes like based on the day of the week.
Yeah, based on how much the cards are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like all the cards have to be under a penny or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So you can do something. Like you can get a game.
Yep, for sure.
I think the biggest thing is that you have access to the older formats.
Yeah, and in some cases they're a lot cheaper to build than in paper too. Like you can build a vintage deck for a couple $100.
Yeah, which
you
is
can't buy any vintage cards for a couple $100.
Yeah. You also have some of the same training wheels as Arena, like it's going to like tell you have triggers, but it's gonna make you
Yeah.
put those triggers like on the stack.
Right. So it's kind of a combination of both. Like you actually have to like put them on the stack so you get to order things the way you want, whereas like Arena does most of that work for you. But it like you're not going to miss a trigger with Magic Online, which is something that like you will miss a trigger in paper for sure. At some point in your life you will miss a trigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee you the first time you go play Paper Magic, you were going to miss a bunch of triggers.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes.
Oh yeah.
You have, I guess we both put both on here. Deck rental services / like loan programs. Basically, there's a couple different companies that do this. I think most people that are on like, are they on Card Hoarder now? Is the one that everyone's doing?
I think so. Yeah.
Basically, you can like pay a subscription fee and then borrow cards from an online vendor for like to play a league with.
Yep.
And
basically
then
like whatever deck you want to play.
Yes, and then you send them back.
Mm-hmm.
And what's weird is like because Magic Online is supposed to be like a perfect digital reproduction of Magic, paper Magic, right? These are just stores that exist outside of like Wizards' control.
Right. It's really strange.
Very, very strange.
Yeah.
So,
and like that kind of leads into the other pro of Magic, which are the bots.
Yeah.
The bots make it really easy to build decks because you basically have access to every card.
Yeah,
there is always a bot where you can buy something, whereas like even in paper, like if you wanted to play, I don't know, something with like metal worker, like if you wanted to play Mud in Legacy and like you needed metal workers, like the chances of your LGS having like a playset of metal workers is probably slim to none.
And then you also having $800 or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like money aside, even if you had like, unlimited wallet, you just couldn't find the cards.
I mean,
at least not locally.
There's been stories of like people going to like tournaments and like deciding they need like an uncommon from like the in-print set, and no vendor
I mean, this is
having
something we'll talk about later.
Yeah, but they'll just there we go. But they'll just end up cracking a bunch of packs in hopes of opening that uncommon for their deck, for their sideboard.
Yeah. Yep,
and that's not something you have to like worry about.
No, like I said, as long as you have, however much the card costs, you basically have access to every single card. One of the bots will have it, and you are always, within arm's reach of whatever bot.
Yeah, and I guess another like pro is, unlike Arena, like it's actually possible to like sell out and like get money for your cards at some point.
Yeah, and like the way the economy works, you can even spec on cards on Magic Online. Like even if you never played a game on Magic Online, you can, buy cards that you think are undervalued and sit on them until they're no longer undervalued and then sell them back to the bots and make money.
Yeah. Cons, Magic Online has been described as like an Excel spreadsheet of like the interface is just like kind of old and clunky.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it should be being played on like a Game Boy Color.
Yeah, there you go. Let me take out Pokemon here. Let me throw in Magic Online and my old Game Boy here. Yeah, it's just not very pretty. It's less intuitive. Like there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of, do you want to do this? Yes, no dialogue boxes that you have to click through.
Yeah, and like it's also pretty hotkey intensive, which makes it kind of hard to learn.
Yeah. And it also has the issue of, for those yes-no like interaction dialogues, depending on how the card is worded, the yes-no is like exactly how you would expect the card to tell you. So you might play a card in your deck where you want to like click yes, and then to get the same effect with a different version of that card, you're supposed to click no.
Right. And you got to know the difference.
Because they're worded different. So, like, people will go on... It's harder to go on, like, autopilot, which is probably a good thing. But you always have to be reading those dialogue boxes, which is, like, super painful and, like, when they have cube. Yeah. It's like, oh, I've never played this card before. Oops, I screwed it up. I guess I lose now.
Yeah, and, like, the hard thing about those dialogue boxes, too, is that they can be kind of small, and because the game looks like it's running on a Game Boy Color, like, the text isn't very clear sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just awkward.
Yeah. So, we also have the economy is, well, interesting.
Yeah. Because it's like its whole separate economy, if you want to play Paper Magic and Magic Online, like, you basically have to buy all of your cards twice.
Woo!
Yeah. Which is weird. It feels different. Like, when I'm playing Arena, I don't feel like I'm buying my whole collection over again. Like, I feel like I'm doing something different. And I realize most of it's probably in my head, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like, when I play Magic Online, it's like, no, I need 4 Misty Rainforests, so even though I have 4 Misty Rainforests sitting in front of me on my desk here, like, I have to buy 4 for my computer. My computer needs 4 Misty Rainforests.
I think the big difference is that, like, you're doing kind of the same thing. You're like, open wallet, purchase these 4 cards.
Yeah.
And you're like, I already opened my wallet and purchased these 4 cards. They're right here.
Right.
And
these 4 cards I can feel.
Yeah. And in Arena, it feels a little different, I guess, because you can't just buy the singles.
Right.
So it feels a little different. And again, the way we interact with Arena is more just like, earn packs, crack packs, be done.
Right.
Right. So we don't have that, like, same, like, struggle to, like, get cards that some people do. Yeah. The future of Moto is uncertain. There was definitely a point where, like, everyone thought it was going away. They're like, hey, Arena's out of open beta. Or is in open beta. And everyone was like, well, Magic Online is dead.
Yeah, I mean, basically the whole economy crashed. Like, all of the bots shut down for at least a day or two.
Yeah, because it was just like people were panic selling.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that, like, you can't, like, I don't know how easily both clients can exist. And, like, especially and get the resources they need to both be functional.
Right.
I mean, is it Ignoble Hierarch or something? Watching videos, like, people were just like, oh, is Exalted still bugged? And it was just like, yeah, Exalted's still bugged. Like, Exalted wasn't working.
Yeah.
On some card or with some interaction on Magic Online. And it's like, how? How have you screwed this up? But Magic Oh, go ahead.
Magic Online hasn't changed anything about it in 20 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Like,
and
I can't imagine that, like, that program still even running on, like, a current PC is easy. Like, they've got to have, you know, a fire brigade, like, on the servers at all times trying to keep the game running.
And they have to program all the cards in individually. So if, like, someone forgets a comma somewhere, then the card just doesn't work, and it's just like, oh.
Yep, then you don't get Exalted.
Yeah. And, you know, related to the economy, because most standard players and standard drafter, or, you know, current set drafters are on Arena.
Yeah.
If you have a card that is from a current set that is popular on Magic Online, it's almost impossible to get.
The example that I remember pretty vividly is Arclight Phoenix.
Yep.
Like, if you had, you know, if you were drafting, was it Ravnica Allegiance, I think? Or was it Guilds? Whichever one. If you were drafting them and, you know, you opened your Arclight Phoenix, like, there was a modern deck that used that. So even though you were going to play standard on Arena, like, the modern players needed that Arclight Phoenix. That Arclight Phoenix, I think at one point was like $100 on Magic Online.
It may have had a point where it was the most expensive card on Magic Online.
Yeah, it was insane because nobody was opening packs.
Yeah, because
all of those people were on Arena.
It was right when Arena started, so it was like flashy and fresh and new.
Yeah,
and so there was no one there to open those cards, and, like, because it's a perfect recreation of, like, paper Magic, perfect in air quotes, right? The only way those cards get into the system is they have to be opened. Like, you have to open packs.
Yep.
And so if people aren't opening packs, the cards aren't showing up.
Right.
So, right, like, the economy is a problem. Like, it's kind of a client to, like, look at and use.
Yeah.
So, like, and, like, the barrier to entry is pretty high. Like, I've only played, like, one league, and it was, like, trying to figure out, like, where the league was. And, like, how to give them money. It was not, like, easy.
No, it's awkward.
All right. So
even, like, if you're in there trying to, like, use your collection, it's also awkward.
It is.
Like, the search function is weird, and deck building is weird, and, like, you have to add cards to binders to use the bots, and it's not intuitive, and
at all.
Like, unless you've been doing it for 20 years, you're probably not going to do it right.
Yeah, I know it was a struggle for me.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 more ways to play Magic. One a little new and, like, sanctioned, and one a little bit older and
very much unsanctioned.
Very much unsanctioned. So we have Spell Table, which is kind of Wizards' way to have you play paper Magic but not have to be around people.
Yeah.
Depending on how you
at some point, I do want to check this out.
Depending on how you have your webcam set up, pants are optional for Spell Table.
Sure.
Like I said, Anthony and I used it and just goofed around and, like, talked and stuff, and it was fine.
Yeah. At some point, I do want to check this out. I also think that it's cool that with I believe, with the companion app, like, you could theoretically run your own tournament on Spell Table.
Yeah, you could. Probably.
Which I think is kind of neat.
We can start running our own tournaments on Spell Table.
Oh, we could. That's an idea. I hadn't actually put 2 and 2 together. We might have to look into that.
People can play against us. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, these guys suck.
Hey, I never said I was good. You guys just like listening to me.
Yeah. And then the last one is one I know about, which is Cockatrace. The other one is untap.in.
Yeah, that was one that Chatman was talking about a while back, and I think Dieter has used it also. There's a third one that Tom was telling me about, but I can't remember the name of it. That's the one that he always used to use. But these are, like, depending on which program you're using, there's various amount of, like, rules engines built in. Some of them have actual none. Some of them have some rules, but not all. But they're basically, like, free programs where you, like, build a deck, and I think most of them have some sort of matchmaking built in. You just, like, play your deck against somebody. I have used Cockatrice. I have not used Untap. I wasn't super thrilled with Cockatrice because there's, like, nothing on the line. Like, people can, just build whatever they want. And because there's, like, no tournaments, you're basically just, like, jamming games against strangers. I found that most opponents weren't invested the same that I was, both in deck choice and, like, ease of, just not wanting to continue playing.
Yeah, like, oh, I missed my 3rd land drop, and we're done.
Yep. Scoop it up.
Yeah, so it does make it harder.
Yep.
So I think these are all the ways that you can play.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think we covered just about everything.
We are going to, like we said at the beginning, over the next few weeks, focus on the paper part and how to get you from, like, where you are on Arena into paper, kind of in this, like, new world.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we have a show.
We have a show that's to be continued.
That's right. Like, this is where in the, like, 80s sitcom, it just goes to be continued at the end. Right. So if you have some questions about these ways to play, like, you want to get those answered, you can tweet at us at CasualTryPod.
Absolutely. We're doing this for you guys. So if there's anything you want to hear about in particular, or things that you wish somebody had told you when you were a new player, or things that you want to tell a new player, let us know. On Facebook at CasualTryHardMTG. You can email us, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. Also, our Discord, link in the description. There's a link on social media. This is all for you guys, so let us know what you want us to talk about. I've got a whole bunch of show notes, but I can certainly fit in whatever else you want to, either information you want to pass on or questions that you want answered. Also, if you like the show, please help us out by using our TCG player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com, when you're looking to purchase singles. It really does help us out. Or you could support us directly by going to patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg and just pitching in. Like I said, every little bit helps us keep the show going, pay our hosting fees, pay for equipment, yada, 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 yada. You got anything else to add?
Nope. So with that, we'll catch you at F&M.
We'll catch you at F&M.